and whatever you're doing and wherever you are having a fantastic time. It would help if I actually looked at the right camera. So I'm going to just keep talking and hope that you guys can see me and hear me. And I think you should now because I'm online. So hello everybody. Cheers. Welcome to Isolation Stream number 3. I'm going to move my computer a little bit closer to the camera so that you can see me and so that you can talk to me. Welcome to my front porch again. It's not raining today, which is a good thing. And I'm feeling a lot better. Hello everybody. Good to see you all. I hope that you are well and that those you care about are also well. And if you are one of the many people out there who is working your cotton socks off to try and keep everybody else safe, I just want to thank you for all of the amazing things that you're doing, because I can't imagine what it's like for you to have to go to work every day to help other people stay healthy and safe when the rest of us are slummed up at home. So thank you, and I mean that sincerely, because it's really a horrible thing to have to deal with. So hello everybody. Hello to those who are watching on Periscope. Also, hello, Fury Phillips, hope you're well. Hello to everybody in the YouTube chat. As you can see, I've got me gardening gear on today. I'm doing a bit of gardening. I'm having a lovely bit of garden fun there. Why not on the back deck? Do you know, honestly, I was going to do the back deck today, but there's a reason I'm out here on the front deck, and I'll show you it right now. And that is, now this may not work, so let's try this out for the very first time. So, this is the live stream, and this is my camera. So you. Walk here. Not be able to see me. I walked back and the connection died, but this is where we are at. So we're back now. I hope you can see me again. The other side of the house, my wife is building a chicken coop, and hopefully the chicken coop, maybe I can just turn the camera around. Maybe that's the best way of doing it. Let me turn the camera. That was a test. It works in the house, obviously, when you've got good Wi-Fi connection. But when you're working in the house without the Wi-Fi, it doesn't work. So let me turn the camera around. You can see over there, right at the edge of the property line, my wife is working on building a chicken coop, and she's making some concrete today. And these things over here are going to be the uprights. Wave! She's working on the chicken coop. So there you go. There you have it. And then later today I'm going to go out and I'm going to be doing some gardening. So a couple of things I want to talk about today. One of them is the Chevy Bolts and how the Bolt is doing. Particularly how the Bolt is doing in reference to being stuck and not being driven. I took my Bolt out midweek had to run an errand, and it was okay. It wasn't very happy about sitting still and not doing anything, but we've been keeping them at about 70 to 80% charge, and we've been taking them out. My daughter has a job at the weekends, and it is a job in a considered essential industry, so we've had to be taking her to that. As a parent, I've got to admit that scares me, you know, when you've got your child going out and doing an essential job, but she's of that age where it's really important for her to have her own job and to earn her own money, because, you know, I think it's an important thing for her, and I would not want to take that away from her. So we've been following safe protocol with her, making sure she's got protection for her mouth and her face, making sure she washes her hands when she leaves. When she gets back, she jumps in the shower. Make sure she's got some sanitizer and all of that. So that's really important stuff. So my niece sees the bolts here in Maine and yells, "Keep evolving." I love that. That's brilliant. I love that. Absolutely. The chicken coop ought to provide some nice background entertainment once it's up and running. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure the chicks and the chickens eventually will form. If I'm still doing this by then, I mean, I hope maybe that we are, but we'll see. And the garden's coming on really well. We've this border didn't exist when we bought the house, and so we've got some irises in here and some hyacinths are just kind of finishing. We've got some fuchsias. One of them's doing really well. The other two, honestly, I don't think they survived the winter, so we'll see. We've got some irises, and we've got some tulips coming through. We've got some, what did my mum call them? Really small type of daffodil, narcissus, and I can't remember the variety she called them, but yeah, really lovely. So we're really lucky, and one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about was an update on our mower. So for those who don't know, we purchased an Ego mower last year. Ego is a brand that's available here in the United States through places like Home Depot. And it's a 21-inch self-propelled electric lawnmower, and it has a battery, 56-volt battery that's lithium-ion that you charge up, and then when you're mowing the lawn, obviously you can switch out those batteries if you need to. Now, we purchased that last year. Someone's asking about phantom drains, so I'll explain that in a second. We purchased the mowers last year, and we've been using the mower. River, can you come here, please? River, come here. Somebody just opened the door, and then the dogs came out. River, come here. In, good girl. So you like the overall and the plaid? Yeah, I do too. So we purchased a mower last year, and that mower was really good last summer. We have about a third of an acre, so we were able to mow the lawn. I was able to mow the lawn a third of an acre on one battery, because I don't like using the self-propelled bit. You can choose whether you have the mower propel itself, whether you just push it, and I basically would save the self-propelled bit for the part of the garden where it's really steep. I've talked about this before. We have a really steep yard here. I don't know how many feet drop it is. It's probably 20 or 30 feet at its most extreme. So the deck sits about 40 feet above in some places. Really steep garden. And so at the very bottom of the garden, having the powered bit actually helps you go up. And when we were looking for mowers, I actually wanted to just get a manual push one. My wife convinced me an electric one would be a good idea. And so that's what we got. 56-volt battery is doing well. Last year it did really well. Over winter it didn't do so well, and last week when I got the mower out for the first time, it may have been 2 weeks ago actually, I used the mower for the first time, and the battery ran flat pretty quickly. I mean, we're talking less than half of the way around the lawn, the battery ran flat. Now, lithium-ion batteries don't like being stored at a full state of charge. They don't like being stored empty, and when you're overwintering these batteries, you have to find a way of keeping those batteries happy and in kind of that middle zone. We failed to do that, but the good news is that when we charged it up after that first use, it was a lot better after that. So there we are. I'm going to go to the chat room and answer some of the questions that you guys are asking. Hello to those who are watching on Twitter as well. If you're not, you can watch this on Twitter on Periscope, because you've got a dual broadband thing. Well, not dual broadband. We've got a broadband connection that's fast enough for me to stream to 2 different places. Could probably stream to Facebook too, but I think that will be pushing it. Hello from Michigan. Hope you're doing well and that you're staying safe. I think it was Dave in Michigan. Yes, there was a doggo there. That was River, the famous doggo. I think I'm going to have to do this. Maybe not. The door has been locked. I'll get her out another day. So you watched the video this week when we were doing the tow hitch on the bolts. It was referenced in another video, and there was video footage of one of our dogs, River the Labrador, wanting someone to throw the ball, and you were all saying, just throw the damn ball. So we'll have to make a video of me just throwing the ball for River. I think that might work. So are the grocery stores all stocked up? Not at all. We are having to go shopping at 7 o'clock on a Saturday morning to get all of the groceries. Yesterday there was toilet roll in, which was great, and I feel guilty because I bought some. Because we live out in the country, we tend to have, when we start the last of something, we buy the new packet. So if we'll have one packet spare at all times, so the packet that's being used plus a spare. And because somebody started that last week, I got another one. We've got that. But we don't actually use very much toilet roll because we have a Japanese toilet. We have a bidet. It's very nice. And actually I want to fit, we've got 3 bathrooms. I want to fit the other bathrooms with one too. But it's very nice. It saves a lot of energy. Did you know that toilet paper, it uses some inordinate amount of water? Like, I think it's, someone can find it and put it in the chat because I don't want to say the wrong number. But it's tens of gallons of water per toilet roll, because you have to turn the pulp, you have to make that pulp, and that takes a lot of water. Whereas obviously if you're using a bidet style, a Japanese style bidet or a European style bidet, you don't use very much water at all, and it's more hygienic and all of that. So there you go. Today in Bathrooms Evolved. Let's go back. Keep your eggs warm. Yeah, we're going to try and keep our eggs warm. So we've got a chicken brooder plate. It's a heated brooder plate, so we're going to be doing that. We'll have the chicks inside for the first, 6 or 7 weeks until they're old enough to go into the coop. And then we're going to use hemp bales in the coop. I wish that the camera that I tried was working, because I'd love to show you what my wife's doing right now. And I could also show you my garden, my vegetable plot. We've got some strawberries in. I put some garlic in this week. So the strawberries that were here last week and the garlic, they're now in. Our sprouts have sprouted, which is good. No news from the carrots yet, or the rosemary. And the potatoes are still hiding underground. So a bit of a slow start. My tomatoes inside are doing fantastic. I've got more tomatoes than I know what to do with. My cucumbers, my lemon cucumbers, are doing really well. And also my peppers, my bell peppers, my California Wonder bell peppers, they're growing fantastic. I put some chocolate bell peppers in, and they haven't done anything. They've just sat there. So I think I'm going to have to reseed those, probably today. I'm going to put some other things in to germinate as well. And I'll maybe put the lettuce seeds in as well and get some fresh lettuce growing as well. So that's really, really good. Do I think that there was permanent degradation of the Murmur battery? No, I don't think so. I mean, I used it yesterday and it was fine. It got all the way around the garden. I think it just hadn't sat well over the winter. I think me using it had probably got it going again. I think maybe next winter we'll need a new one. Interestingly, the large capacity 56 volt battery, the one that came with the mower, wasn't doing so well. But the smaller capacity 56 volt battery, the one that goes in the strimmer, was just fine. And they're interchangeable, so I actually put the strimmer battery in the mower and used that in the end. When I was a kid in the back of the 1980s, my uncle welded an old 2 wheels and a blade in the middle mower to go to the back of a go-kart. Oh my goodness, that sounds hilarious. Range anxiety with a mower. Try using a diesel mower or a rocket-powered one. No, I mean we've got plenty of range with the electric one. It's been fantastic. I mean I think you can agree that to do a third of an acre with a reasonably small capacity battery is pretty impressive, especially as you've got the hills. Like I say, I can normally do it in one charge, which I did yesterday. But the first week it just didn't want to do that, so but it did pretty well, and the strimmer worked pretty well as well. So everything else worked really, really well, and we were very, very happy with that. What brand of mower? I've been looking at Ecos. It is the Ego EGO mower, which is great fun, great fun. 6 acres of land, 9 miles outside of town. That's a large amount of land. I don't know where out of town you are. I have a suspicion you're in the Portland area, so maybe we're neighbours. We're actually we're further out of town. We're about 25 miles out of Portland, and we're about a third of an acre. So there we go. Could you let River come here for a second, please? But just stay there for a sec, because she's got to go back inside. River, come here. Hi, River. Come here. You're famous. You're famous. Come here. This is River. Where is she? This is River. Come here. Whoa. Oh, God. This is River. She is our Labrador. And she wants me to throw the ball for her. But she also wants to go back inside. So, go on. In you go. In you go. Good girl. So she was the one in the video that you wanted me to throw balls for. My wife is lifting 50-pound bags of concrete. This worries me slightly. But there we go. So someone says, making a single roll of toilet paper requires 37 gallons of water, 1.3 kilowatt hours of electricity, and some 1.5 pounds of wood. So there you go. We all need to have evolved bums, basically. That's the message. Your bottom needs to evolve, and you need a bidet. I know Americans really struggle with it, and the funny thing was, we had decided to get one around Christmas, just to see what it was like and how it operated in the home. I've been around the world enough to know that I liked them. I've used them a lot in Japan and Asia and in Europe as well. And so I knew I liked them, and I knew that I wanted to find a greener alternative to toilet paper, and so I convinced my partner to try them out, and she was really not 100% until she tried it, and then she was like, actually, that's really good. Because obviously we live in the country, so we have a septic system. So we have a truck come and suck out the septic tank however many times a decade. And so not using as much toilet paper, does reduce that. So there you go. People use less, I'm just reading the chat again. People can use less water to clean the back and wash the hands with water, and soap it consumes about 1 litre of water, says Hammett. Yeah, that's true. And of course, in certain religions and certain cultures, using water is considered the correct way of cleaning oneself, and I think people need to examine that looking forward. All right. So someone says, my grandma lived out in the country outside of Santa Rosa. It's not so out in the country anymore, and we always come home with a ton of produce from her garden when we visited. nothing like fresh produce. And one of the things I want to do is to try and grow more produce. We are spending quite a bit on groceries right now, because we're all at home all the time. We're not eating out. There's one local restaurant that we're trying to support by buying takeout once a week. Like we're eating at home for lunch. I will admit my waistline is not doing so well at the moment, and I need to work out. I need to do some more running and stuff. I started working out again this week. Really, this week is the only week I've started to feel better. I think I've got rid of whatever that infection was. One of my dear friends is very sick at the moment, so fingers crossed it's not the dreaded, but I do know that she has an infection in her lungs right now, so I hope she gets better. She knows who she is. I love the retro videos. The retro video we did last week. What happened to Mark Chatterley? Mark is still alive and well can be expected. He is busy with his own business. We still talk. Mark ran his own business, much like I did with Transport Evolved, and it was just a little bit too much for him to do both. So he kind of took a bit of a back seat. He does occasionally pop up and give us videos. I hope he doesn't mind me saying at the moment he's not as well as he could be. He's waiting for an operation in hospital, an urgent operation. He has quite a rare autoimmune condition, which is not doing good things to his liver. So he's waiting for a transplant at the moment. All the best to Mark, and all the health to Mark. So there you go. Someone says hi River. Hi River. So the retro video with Kate was quite a fun thing. She did that completely unprompted. She actually filmed it back in November last year, and we just kind of sat on it and was waiting for the right time to put it out. And on April 1st, I was sitting there in the studio going, you know, this past week has been tough on everybody, and I didn't really want to make an April Fool's Day video because I didn't want people to accuse me of trying to be funny when the world is having a really tough time. And I'm not a comedian, so it's not kind of my job to do that. But what I decided instead was like, oh, well, I've got this video sitting on the server, and because the server is now at the house, we were able to set that up, and we were able to get that video, that retro video, and it was fun making it letterbox 4:3 aspect ratio and kind of cropping it down. That was a really fun experience. I had a real hoot of a time editing that and making the camera work look, I mean, it was proper HD video when we first got it, and then I had to kind of make it look old. Erin did that animation at the logo, and then I animated the logo and the end credits. And if you watch, you'll see that there are some anagrams in the credits at the end. So read the credits. Where are we? At what point will the videos for making hand sanitizer be superseded with videos on making toilet paper at home? Good question. I don't know. Someone down on the farm, all is well. Well, I mean, we're not really a farm. I suppose you would class us as a cottage in the country. This is not technically a farmhouse. It does have kind of a farmhousey vibe, but yeah. Someone was saying the bidet, like the modern traffic circle and the metric system, are the objectively superior tools for their respective jobs, and Americans cannot be troubled to learn how to use them. Unfortunately, as an American and as a Brit, I have to agree with you there, which is going to be fun. Someone said, is bidet water hot? Well, it depends whether you get one that heats up the water or not. I guess if you want me to talk about them a bit, I can. So the ones that they're advertising at the moment, like the Tushy and all of those, a lot of those, not all of them, the basic cheap ones that you bolt onto an existing toilet seat, they just use cold water, and they're manual. So you turn a thing and it's cold water. You can get ones that plumb into your hot water system as well, but of course that only works if you have a reliable hot water system. Some people have have an immersion tank that gets cold throughout the day, so by the time in the evening it can be quite cold. But you can get ones that are manual, that use just hot water and cold water plumbed in, or you can do what we did and buy a Japanese style one, in which there's an electrical component to it, and you plug it into the mains, and it heats up the water as you're using it, so you can control the temperature, and you can also control the temperature of the seat. It's very fancy. Someone said my grandmother has an outhouse. You know, I used to have an outhouse at one of my houses as well. Heard that Amazon was selling a lot of bidets now. Yeah, absolutely, they are. My wife is approaching. Is everything good? How goes the concrete? Are you dead yet? No. We were just talking about bidets and how awesome they are.
They are awesome.
They are awesome. She likes them a lot. Please don't hurt yourself lifting all that concrete.
Yeah, I'll work on that.
All right. So working out with the YouTube vids. A lot of people do that. My dirty secret when I'm at a gym is I'll very often put on videos from conventions that I've been to in the past. So like very often, specifically in the furry fandom, if you go to a convention, happens with anime conventions as well, and like sci-fi cons, people will make music videos where they'll play music and they'll have basically selection of all the cool stuff that was going on. And I sometimes do that. I've done it with EV conventions as well. Although I don't think anyone's done one for Fully Charged Live. I haven't seen a Fully Charged Live music video. But anyway, I will watch those sometimes when I'm working out, because the music's cool and the pictures are cool, and I just kind of work out with that. But I use Oculus, and I use Box VR, and also Beat Saber. I'm actually pretty good at Beat Saber, but the challenge with me is that I struggle to get my heart beating quickly because I'm on medication that slows my heart rate down, and that means that working out for me is challenging because I can never get my heart to beat fast enough to be in the zone where I'm actually properly working out. So it can sometimes be a bit of a pain. You like the video that you did. Volkswagen Up versus Renault Zoe versus Opel Corsa E. Thank you for your donation, and you'd like me to make one of those, I'm assuming. And yeah, I'd love to do one of those. I think that would be great. When I'm in the UK, maybe I can do that, because they're all European models, and I don't live in Europe. So none of those are available in the UK, in the US right now. Have I seen the Lucid Air in person? I have not. I'm hoping to do that soon, but again, a lot of the stuff that I was planning to do, we just can't do anymore because we're stuck here. We were going to go to the Caribbean to talk about Nissan screwing over a local, well, the entire US Virgin Islands, but we're not going to be able to do that right now because things. The project car is going to have to come here once we've got some money saved up for that. Well, we do have the money, we just haven't paid the guy yet because we're all social distancing up here. So that needs to happen, and we'll bring the car over and we'll put it where my trailers are right now. Let me go back and read some more. The retro video was so awesome, says Jim. Kate is a star. I thought you'd appreciate that, Jim. I mean, it's very, very British humour. It's very old school British humour, especially I bought my sunglasses, I bought my shorts. That was perfect from Kate. She is a genius. She's got a really quick sense of humour. I love working with her, and it is my goal to start paying her. I want to actually employ her as a member of the team full time. A lot of the stuff she does right now, she does just because. And I'd like to bring her in officially. And so maybe now that we're getting rid of the studio, we'll be able to do that. By the way, I have friends making a third printed electric truck for their subdivision and their little park. I'd love to find out more about that. They're using the frame of a golf cart. Can solve the water not hot yet problem with the recirculation pump. Yeah, that works. Sorry, I'm late. You're not late. Is River named as a callback to Firefly? No. Okay, so we had a Labrador called Eddie back in oh goodness, 2008, I think we adopted him, 2009. So our border collie, Pepper, we had him from a pup in 2007. That's when we got Pepper. So he's now 13. And one day we had an email from, oh, you've got a Mountain Dew. Good on you. One day we had an email from the vets saying, there's this dog that needs to be, oh no, I don't want it, I've got a coffee. That's yours. Oh, okay. We had an email from the vets in the UK going, there is a dog who needs a home. He is going to be put down unless we can find a home for him. And his name was Eddie. Eddie was really wonderful dog. His owners had overfed him and not really cared what he ate. And it got to the point where he became very overweight and he developed diabetes. Now, for those who don't know, especially with dogs, finding the correct insulin to treat diabetes in dogs is kind of a trial and error. So you have to have different dogs will respond to different insulins. And Eddie just wasn't responding to the normal stuff. And his original owners basically said, oh, screw it, put him to sleep. And rather than ask their veterinarian to do it, knowing he wouldn't, they took him to our vets and asked our vets to euthanize him. And our vet was like, well, this is a perfectly healthy, normal dog. No. So they took Eddie in and they looked after him for probably about a couple of months, trying to find a home for him. They found an insulin that worked. They got him stable on his insulin. And when he came to live with us, he was doing well. He'd lost a lot of weight. He could see. He was a happy little lad. He was 9, I think, when he came to live with us. And he went blind with diabetic cataracts shortly after coming to live with us. So our border collie would just follow him around, or rather lead him around. So they'd be joined together on dog walks, and Pepper would lead him around. And Eddie was a wonderful dog, very, very good temperament, really stinky farts, good dog, good temperament. My wife's just cracking up at that. But he sadly passed away. I think he would have been 11 when he passed away, which was a couple of years beyond what the vets had actually thought. He was going to live for a couple of months when we adopted him. They said he's probably got a couple of months. But Eddie loved going in the water, loved running in the water. And so when he passed away, we spread his ashes in our local waterways in Bristol in the UK. And when River came along, our new Labrador, we weren't planning another Labrador, but Kate spotted that there were some Labradors being sold at a local farm, and we went and checked them out, and they seemed okay, and they were all, registered and everything. And so we got River, and because of Eddie, we decided to call her River Song, because of the water connotations and her being a Labrador. And obviously River Song comes from Doctor Who, so her full name is River Song. So there you go. That is the story behind why River is named River Song. Not to do with Firefly, but Firefly is one of my wife's favourite sci-fis. So there you go. So there we go. Someone got it. River, the Doctor's wife. You did. There's some people cycling up the road, socially distancing. They're nearly at the top of the hill. They're nearly at the top of the hill. I use a step climber to raise my heart rate. By the way, Nissan Leaf 1st Gen, is there a light in the lower rear bumper? Nissan Leaf Gen 1, is there a light in the lower rear bumper? It'll be the fog lights, but I think it's just a reflector. River was Simon's sister in the Firefly TV show. There you go. You should watch Acorn and BritBox. Yeah, I do. We've got too many. You guys probably don't know this, but I don't watch a lot of TV because I'm too busy making Transport Evolved on a daily basis. I'm working, 8 to 10 hours a day, and then I'm gardening, as you can see. And I'm part of a charity. We go and do stuff. At the moment, we're not doing that, obviously, because COVID-19. But we're you know, planning for the chicks and all these other things that we're doing. We're kind of busy. So I watch about an hour of TV a day at the moment. It's kind of the thing we do in the evening together, just to chill at the end of the day. And we're currently watching an Apple TV show about space travel. And I've forgotten the name of it. It's very good. It's based in an alternative timeline. Although it's one of those things that when you're watching it, you have to be a little bit mindful that that the science is not always going to be right. So, and there's been a couple of moments where we've been watching it, we've gone, well, this is a nice bit of fiction. Oh, that wouldn't happen in the real world. I think the first one that really struck me was that when they were doing the rover, there was an incident where they wanted to use a lunar rover as a winch, and so the idea was that they were going to take the wheel the wheel off and just leave the hub, and then use the hub as a winch to, you know, bring someone up or put someone down into a crater. And I was watching it going, the lunar rover tires, the lunar rover wheels were one piece. You couldn't just take the outside off and have a hub. And what made me laugh was they'd gone to the trouble of making a tried to make a period correct replica of the rover, and they used GM 4-inch 4x1 inch wheel pattern for the vehicle, which would be period correct. And it was quite common back in the 60s and 70s for cars to have a 4-bolt 1-inch bolt pattern. And I was like, no, I don't think they work like that. I think they were just one-piece wheels. And of course they were. I had to look it up. Do we have any bears or mountain lions in your area? Yes, we do. We have bears. We have the cougars, the mountain lions. We have coyotes that kick up every night. You can hear them. I would not go outside and howl, because that sometimes starts them off. I do sometimes go outside and howl. So that's why we've got to be careful about our chicken coop. It's why we're building it, overbuilding it. We're going to use hardware cloth buried underground. We have, excuse me. We have, let me think. We're getting 6 chickens and 1 rooster. So 6 hens and 1 rooster. At least that's what we're hoping. Obviously, you can never tell, because some breeds are not auto-sexing, so you just kind of have to guess, and vent sexing of chickens can sometimes not be very accurate, so we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. UK Leaf had a fog light in the centre of the rear bumper at the bottom and reflectors on each corner. Thank you. I thought maybe it did, but I'm not sure. Alright, so back to what we were talking about previously, and I can't remember. Oh, garden tools. Yeah, so the electric garden tools are doing great. I will do a video on that later in the season when we've actually got some more of our equipment over here, which brings me to the situation with Transport Evolved right now. We have officially told our landlord that we're not going to be renewing our lease. It's really sad to think that we're going to get rid of our building and we're not going to have a lease anymore. We're not going to have a production studio. For reasons that I'm sure a lot of you will understand. We're trying to be really careful about who knows where we live, so we're not going to be accepting visitors here. I spoke to a couple of YouTubers at Fully Charged Live, and one of them was like, yeah, I have people turn up on my doorstep. And I'm like, that would just freak me out. Totally freak me out. But we'll try and figure out something. I think we're going to probably get a PO box, so that if you want to send us stuff, you want to write to us, you can use the PO box. But the long and the short of it is, as I discovered last week, as I discussed last week, we were paying $1,250 a month for rent on the studio, and our YouTube ad revenue has dropped by more than 50% in the last 2 weeks, which is quite a lot. One of our clients has renegotiated our services, so we've got a little bit of a drop in income there. And we've had another client just say, I'm sorry, I can't pay you to do stuff at the moment. So we have lost probably about $1,000 a month now in income, and so not having a studio is a really good thing right now. Our goal is to keep Erin employed and to keep everything ticking along nicely. We will need to be spending some significant money this year on some hard drives. We've got and we just spent, I think, $1,200 on some new hard drives for the backup server. We're going to have to buy another $3,000 to $4,000 worth of hard drives for the main machine, because we're running out of space. And the way that we've set up the server is that you have to buy the hard drives in groups of 6. So that's why it's so expensive. You have to buy them in groups of 6. And I want to buy 2 groups of 6 so that we can even things out and so that the server runs nice and fast. If you are a Linux person and you'd like to help us with NFS, we've had some issues trying to get NFS working on our server, and we would really appreciate it, because NFS is going to be hopefully more stable than the Samba implementation, which breaks regularly and is causing us somewhere in the region of 3 or 4 hours of lost work time every week. So that would be really useful, and a lot of stress. But yeah, we've cancelled our internet connection at the studio. That happened on Friday. It's going to get cancelled on the 15th of April. I've rung up the electricity company and I've told them, yep, we're leaving on the 31st of July, which is when our lease ends. We talked to our landlord and they've basically said, nah, you've got to pay the lease. You've got to pay through to the end of your contract. I've checked the contract. There's no force majeure or anything like that. So we are screwed. We've got to pay another $4,000 worth of rent before we can leave, which sucks, but that's life, and I don't want to moan about it because there are people in a lot worse situation than we are right now. But it will explain why probably in June, July, you might see a drop in videos, because we are going to have to unpack the studio, leave the studio, pack everything up, remove anything that we've changed, put things back the way they were. We've got to repaint one of the walls where we put a green screen. I've got to do all of that, and then when we come here, I've got to build one of the rooms that's going to have to become a production studio, and that's going to be quite a task. We've got the space for it, we just need to make sure that we've got everything else set up and ready. Alright, so yeah, we're not going to return to the studio yet, because the thing you have to remember is that this is not just about stay-at-home orders. This is the start of a global recession. We're looking at, I think we're looking at a 4 or 5% unemployment rate now in the United States. I think we're going to see a third, maybe more, people unemployed in total. It's going to be a major, major recession. And that means that even if we are okay as a unit, we're not going to be able to afford to pay a rent on an expensive studio space, because our revenue is going to drop, and a lot of you have had to cut back on your Patreon support, and that is totally okay. And if you're doing that, please look after yourself first, because you know, I can't imagine if you've lost your job or you're worried about that, please don't put yourself in a difficult situation just for some YouTube channel, because that's pointless. We are taking these steps out of forward-thinking measures. We're okay. We're taking these steps to make sure that we can stay okay for longer. So that's why we're doing it. Is it going to mean that I'm going to be out and about more? Probably, because I'm going to go stir crazy if I'm on my own in the house for days at a time. Are we still doing the road trips? Maybe. The road trips are probably not going to happen this year. And we'll still do CES next year. We're still going to do Fully Charged Live next year. Will we drive there? I don't know. We'll find out nearer the time. But that's where we are. That's where we are right now. And that's why we're doing this, why we're getting rid of the studios. Let's see. A photo of the lunar rover, it got an 8-bolt center mount on a flat disc wheel. Yeah, that's what I meant. It's not like the 4-bolt pattern. wasn't a traditional automotive hub, at least that's what I'm thinking. Hopefully the landlord was understanding of the situation, assuming you can return to a studio once society can return to normal. We've covered that one, Jim. Quick check of an old red line review of the Leaf in the US, and no fog light, just reflectors either side. Yeah, there's no fog lights in the US on most cars, which I really struggle with, because we get some really janky fog up here, really nasty stuff. I mean, we are up in the clouds for some of the year. In the winter, the cloud level comes right down to this house, and it can be below freezing all day just because you're in the clouds. So it gets damp and it gets cold, which is why my garden is taking so long to wake up. Your lease is up on Harry Potter's birthday, yeah, the 31st of July. I struggle with Harry Potter these days. It's bizarre. I love Harry Potter. Obviously, Harry Potter and Hermione, they're all my age. They were all supposed to be born in the late 70s, early 80s. So they're my generation. But I love the stories, but I really struggle now knowing that J.K. Rowling has some pretty tough views that are incompatible with who I am. And that really hurt me when I found out about that. And so I kind of struggle with the Harry Potter universe. But, you know, you have to kind of take stories for what they are. I know that Ender's Game, for example, the story itself is a really wonderful story, in so much as it's a well-told story. But the guy who wrote it was not a nice person. Not a nice person. Had some really terrible views. Alright, do I think that do you think electric vehicles will suffer as a consequence of oil prices going down? Oil is really cheap, gasoline is really cheap. I think they will suffer, but not necessarily because of the price of oil, but because of the price of EVs. You know, the auto industry have done this to themselves. They're still producing high-end, high-spec electric vehicles. And the closest thing I would say that we're getting to really affordable vehicles are things like the MG in Europe, the MG Z, I think they call it, MG something Z EV. And obviously you've got the new Dacia coming from Renault's sister brand Dacia. I think that will help, but we're still not at a point yet where we've got truly affordable EVs for 90% of the population. And I think, you know, you have to remember that the income is not like a bell curve. Intelligence is a bell curve, right? But you see, most people are earning an income that means that they can't afford to buy anything more than about $30,000. And a lot of people can't even afford a $10,000 car. So what I want to see, especially through this recession, is I want to see some company come up with a car that's really no frills, that's electric, that does the job, that gets the job done. Big rig. We live, we've got logging trails up here, so we get logging trucks come through all the time. MGZS, thank you. Thank you. And so I think we're going to see a drop in sales, but I think with the right encouragement, I think we can see EVs take off as well. I think in Europe, this incentive is just going to push people, I think, to think more about how they work. And I think this is going to be a change in the way that we work as a society. You know, we're sitting here, we've got 2 cars. There's 2 people in this family who can drive at the moment. We don't talk about why the 3rd person can't drive. It's an unpleasant experience. We've got 2 people in the family who drive, got 2 cars, and we're both working from home right now. And when we go long distance, the chances are that we probably go long distance together. People say, not hear the Tesla semi coming. Well, let me tell you this. Because of where we live in an area where we've been told time and time again. In fact, a friend of ours who watches regularly, Bill, hi Bill, has told me that we were really lucky to get this house because it's a third of an acre in a forestry zone. And this house would not exist today. So this house was zoned about 100 years ago. All of this area was zoned about 100 years ago, and all of these houses were built about 100 years ago. And we are the smallest plot by quite a way. The next smallest plots, I think, are probably my neighbours down there, and then the neighbours across the way who have an identical house to ours because they were rebuilt in 2006 by the same people. But if you were to buy this land and try and build on it today, you wouldn't be allowed to build a house here. The consequence of that is most of the plots up here are tens of acres, maybe even 100 acres in some cases. And so you've got quite a lot of wealthy people live up here. You've got people driving by with Model X's and S's all the time. And I can tell you, there's a couple of local Tesla drivers who must bomb down this road at 80. And you don't hear the cars, when they're moving by in a car park. But let me tell you, when a Model X is barreling down this road really quickly, you hear it. You hear it just like you'd hear it for any other car because the tyre noise is so great. So this is interesting. Waiting for Tesla to make a compact cars because they can make one because of their minimal style. I hope they do. I really do. A dealership in Corpus Christi, Texas, dropped the price of their 2020 Chevy Bolts down to $25,000 because of the situation, because of Voldemort. I think that is a really good steal. I mean, I think I got my car for about... I part exchanged. So for those who don't know, I part exchanged a car for it. So I got $7,000 and some off for that. We got the $7,500 federal tax credit. And I think they knocked $5,000 off because my car had been wrecked before it was even registered. So somebody was driving it off the transporter and they drove it really fast. I think it must have been in sport mode, or somebody's foot slipped or whatever. But my car had a front end collision with a lamp post at the dealership before it even went on the forecourt. And so it took them about 6 months to repair it. And that's why we got a discount on it. And there's a bumblebee, which makes me incredibly happy. There are bumblebees coming out. We still have bumblebees up here because we're in the country. So there you go. That is everything that's going on. I'm going to have to go because it's getting late in the day and I've got some gardening to do. Have you done the concrete? I think she's done the concrete. Are we all concreted up? She's got her headphones in, so she can't hear me. I mean, who would want to listen to me talk? Do we have concrete?
Right now we have sandy water.
We have sandy water.
Yeah.
We've got matching hers and hers outfits on. Look at this. This is on delay.
Hi.
So this is your woodworking. This is your woodworking leather top, isn't it? That you use.
Yes.
And you're gonna have to wash it now because you've got soil on it. That's,
It's ruined.
it's ruined.
It's ruined forever.
There you go. There you are. Don't forget to hit like before you leave. And someone says don't forget to hit like before you leave. Yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You can reach out to us on Patreon. We'll be doing some more videos like this over the next couple of days. Sorry, I forgot where the camera was. We'll be doing some videos like this over the next couple of days. I'm going to be doing a video probably for my personal channel, which I haven't linked to for a while. But my personal channel is just about gardening and all the other stuff that I do outside of work. We haven't really talked about EVs today, and I'm not going to talk about that twat who wrecked his Model 3 and then claimed that Tesla had fixed it, and someone got really upset with me on Twitter. Actually, I'm going to talk about it. Screw it. Someone Someone got upset with me because I got upset with the guy who said that Tesla had fixed his car for free, and they were like, "Well, you're a terrible journalist. You should have checked it first." I'm like, "Well, okay." So 3 things with that in that regard. 1, Tesla doesn't return my emails. Point blank, Tesla does not talk to me. Like, it's not even a case of I can't even get through to them. My emails just go unanswered with Tesla, which is quite common for all automotive journalists, by the way. Tesla sucks at talking to journalists, unless said journalist happens to be an influencer who has a Tesla. And that sucks, but it's true. Second, you know, I try and take people on good faith. And I was, you know, I looked at the story and did some research. The guy on his YouTube channel said, you know, Tesla's warranty. Originally, he said Tesla hasn't honoured my warranty, and then he said, yeah, Tesla's gonna pay for it. I have to take him at face value. I've since learned that he's an absolute jerk, and he is doing stuff for the likes and the videos. And as Doug DeMuro once said, it's hard for YouTubers who try and do serious automotive YouTubing, like Doug DeMuro, like myself, to get cars when idiots are doing stuff like that for clicks, for link bait, for likes. And it really made me angry when I found out about that. I chose to be better than that on the channel, though. So there we go. I feel that guy. Honestly, I think Tesla should stop selling stuff to him. Elon Musk has refused service to people in the past for far less. So anyway, I am going to go now. But cheers! I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Make sure you wash your hands. If you can, make some face masks and wear them. I know people were giving Robert a real hard time earlier on Twitter, which again made me really cross, talking about face masks. People going, hey, face masks don't work if they're homemade. The CDC is now saying that people should wear them when they go out. So make your own if you can. It's fairly easy to do. I made one. It's got woof. It says woof on it because, you know, dogs and hobbies. Anyway, it's been good to talk. I hope you have a great rest of the day. As I said before, like, comment and subscribe. Support us on Patreon if you can. If you can't, don't worry. If you want to send us a coffee, send us a Ko-fi. If you don't, if you can't, that's okay. If the only thing you can do to support this channel is to interact with us, talk to us, and watch our videos, then just do it. Because we love you. Why are you giving me thumbs up?
Because you did great.
Because I did great, and so did you. Keep evolving, everyone.